relationship between Umar ibn al-Khattab and the Jewish people. المطالب العالية بزوائد المسانيد الثمانية للحافظ ابن حجر الأسقلاني. Volume number 14, published by Darul Asimah in Riyadh, capital of Saudi Arabia, of Hijaz, published in the year 2000. Page number 446, hadith number 3521, and الشعبي. قال Omar said, إني كنت أخشى اليهود يوم دراستهم. Umar ibn Khattab says in this long narration that on the day of their study, on the day when the Jewish people would study the Torah and the Talmud, كنت أخشى اليهود. I used to go and socialize and listen with أخشي. I used to go mix up with them. We used to go and sit there. I used to go. أخشي would mean it's more than sitting down. I used to go and envelop them. أخشي means to go there and to really get absorbed there and to have a long and enduring presence there. So on the day of the study of the Torah and Talmud, I used to go and give an enduring presence to that Jewish session. فقالوا, and Jewish people would say to me, ما من أصحابك أحد أكرم علينا منك. There's none of the Muslims who is as dear to us as you. The same Jewish people who had conspired with Abu Sufyan in Ghazwat al-Ahzab to eradicate Muslims and to kill all Muslims, including the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to massacre everybody. They used to say to Omar, and later on they called him Faruq, that you are the most beloved one of all Muslims to us. لأنك تأتينا, because it's only you, the only Muslim who comes to learn our teaching. It's only you. Now, what was the position of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding this? Of course, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not allow that. Omaris have narrated, first of all, the verse of the Noble Quran, that the Jewish people they have distorted their books. We all know that verse of Noble Quran. That's why the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite all these verses all the time to Muslims regarding the Jewish people and the Christian scholars, that ويكتبون الكتاب بأيديهم ويقولون هذا من عند الله فويل للذين يكتبون الكتاب بأيديهم ثم يقولون هذا من عند الله. They distort the books of Allah and change their scripts and say this is the revelation, while this is not the revelation. So the fact that Jewish people had distorted their teachings, that is a fundamental fact in the Noble Quran. So could the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam allow Muslims to go and learn from them their distorted facts? Of course not. Of course, that's not possible. Was there any deficiency, any inadequacy in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's own teachings, in his own sermons, in his own eloquence, in his own communication, that he would encourage Muslims to go learn from Jewish scholars who would lie about religious facts? Of course not. This is Al-Musannaf li Abd al-Razzaq. Abd al-Razzaq al-San'ani, one of the foremost reliable scholars of hadith in the Umari tradition, volume number 6, published in Al-Maktab al-Islami at year 1983. Babu Mas'alati Ahl al-Kitab, to learn from the Jewish people. Now, it's very strange that we from Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam have narrated that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has not allowed people to take from Ahl al-Kitab, from the Jews and Christians, to learn their articles of faith from them, or facts about previous prophets and previous apostles. That's Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam's teaching. And that's consistent with the Noble Quran, when the Noble Quran says that the Christian monks and Jewish scholars at the time in Arabia, they used to lie, and they used to distort facts, and they had changed their books in order to hide the prophecies about the coming of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the prophecies of the 12 imams alayhim wasallam after the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used to distort these facts. So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam could not have encouraged Muslims to go and learn from Ahl al-Kitab, while Quran enunciates that their teachings are distorted. However, you see a plethora of ahadith from Ahl al-Kitab in Umari tradition. Why is that? And you see this saying attributed to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, حدثوا عن بني إسرائيل ولا حرج. Oh, go narrate. Go learn from Bani Israel and narrate. There's no problem with it. Go learn from Bani Israel and narrate their teachings and their narratives, and there is no problem with it. Whereas also they have narrations when the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam found out that Omar is going and learning from the Jewish people, he was agitated, he was angered, and he called Omar a stupid person. Our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is a towering figure of akhlaq, a towering figure of leniency, who himself is kindness and manners personified, he calls Umar ibn Khattab stupid, and he's angry at him. And you will see these hadith, inshallah. So you see the inconsistencies. So they have a set of hadith from Umaris have narrated that Muslims should go and learn from Ahl al-Kitab, especially Bani Israel, the Jews, and there's nothing wrong with it. And of course, that's against the noble Quran. And that will imply what's wrong. Why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not teach himself? So Muslims have to go and narrate from Bani Israel, right? And also, if that was the case, then why he called Omar a stupid person? And why he was angered in these numerous ahadith that I'm going to show you, inshallah ta'ala. Page number, this is the chapter that Babu Mas'alati Ahl al-Kitab. Mas'alatu Ahl al-Kitab. Is it permissible to inquire, to learn, to narrate from Jews and Christians? That's what it means. And this chapter, page 112, hadith number 10,163. This sanad, أخبرنا عبد الرزاق عن معمر عن أيوب عن أبي قلابة. This sanad is sahih on the shart of Bukhari and Muslim. This sanad is very, very credible. There's nothing wrong with this sanad. أن عمر بن الخطاب مر برجل يقرأ كتابا سمعه ساعة فاستحسنه. Umar ibn Khattab passed by a person who was reading a book. This person is indeed a Jewish person, because the only people who had books in Medina, they were Jewish. He passed by him and he's reading his book, the Torah or Talmud or whatever. He sat down for an hour listening and paying attention. فاستحسنه. And Omar liked it very much. He loved the Talmud. He loved the Torah, whatever it was. فقال للرجل أتكتب من هذا الكتاب. He said, please make a copy of this book for me. At that time, scribing scriptures was a very laborsome work. It was not easy to copy a book. It would take months of labor because there were no photocopy machines and there were no printers. So everything had to be written by hand. So he ordered a copy of that book. He asked that person, would you prepare a copy of this book for me? He said, yes. فاشترى أديما لنفسه ثم جاء به إليه فنسخه في بطنه وظهره. So Umar ibn Khattab went and purchased leather. And he gave it to this person, and this person made a copy of that book, and it's in the front of that leather and the backside of the leather. So at that time, the expensive form of books were in leathers, right? Leather scrolls. Then what does Umar ibn Khattab do? ثم أتى به النبي صلى الله عليه وآله فجعل يقرأه عليه. So Umar ibn Khattab gets a copy of the Torah, and probably he had it translated too into Arabic, right? So he brings it to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and starts reading it. وجعل وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يتلون. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's face's pigment, his face's color, started changing with anger and agitation. That Umar ibn Khattab has brought a book of lies, of fabrications from the Jews, and he's reciting it to me. Look at the audacity in my masjid. So his face's color is changing. فضرب رجل من الأنصار بيده الكتاب. One of the people of Medina, one of Ansar, he stood and he struck the book in Umar's hand with his hand. He slapped it hard and he hit it. وقال ثكلتك أمك يا ابن الخطاب. He said to Umar, may you die. May your mother mourn you and grieve your death. ألا ترى إلى وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم منذ اليوم وأنت تقرأ هذا الكتاب. Rasul, don't you see the face of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that you're causing his anger, you're causing his discomfort, you're agitating the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam while reading this book. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إنما بعثت فاتحا وخاتما. Allah has sent me as the opener and as the closer. I am the one who has all chapters of guidance. I'm the man. I'm the prophet. I'm the apostle. I'm here. وَأُعْطِيتُ جَوَامِعَ الْكَلِمِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the one hand has given me Quran, which is a miracle that nobody could bring the like of its shortest surah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me Jawami' al-Kalim. Allah has given me eloquence. My words are so eloquent that in concise words, I describe in depth and profound and detailed facts. وَفَوَاتِحُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me words that are the opening chapters of knowledge. وَاخْتُصَرَ لِيَ الْحَدِيثُ اخْتِصَارًا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enabled me to describe detailed matters, profound matters, and in concise words. And then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَلَا يَحْلِكَنَّكُمُ الْمُتَوَهِّكُونَ. فَلَا يَحْلِكَنَّكُمُ الْمُتَوَهِّكُونَ. Now, just visualize when these words are said by the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Omar has committed this huge offense, disrespect to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, disrespect to his religion, disrespect to his prophethood, that while he is present and he is the one who's teaching Quran and he is teaching wisdom and his words are the most eloquent anybody has ever heard. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, aside from the Quran, his own words were extremely eloquent and beautiful. And there was no deficiency of wisdom in his words. And there was no deficiency of knowledge with regard to previous prophets in his history of Bani Israel, or the apostles before, or the history of creation, or what's going to happen in the future. There was no deficiency of knowledge in this regard and in the teachings of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. While he's present, Omar ibn Khattab has the audacity to go and get a copy of the forged Torah or Talmud and recite it to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he says these following words, it's obvious. It's in reference to Omar ibn Khattab. What does this word mean? Muslims, beware of stupid people. That's what it means. Al-mutawahhik is someone who's stupid. Someone who is a fool. Someone who is a fool and stupid. And who is this fool and stupid person? Of course, it's very clear. It's Omar ibn Khattab. Muslims, beware of stupid people, ignorant people, fool people, unlearned people, irrational people, so they may not lead you to destruction. فَلَا يَحْلِكَنَّكُمْ الْمُتَوَهِّكُونَ. Now, it's obvious. This is a Sahih hadith. And its sanad is as Sahih as any hadith of Bukhari and Muslim. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam addresses in this situation, calls some people to be stupid. Who's that stupid person? Of course, it's Umar ibn Khattab. Nobody else. And that the stupidity was, the only stupidity we see in this hadith is the act of Umar ibn Khattab. His love, his affection for the Jews, and his disregard for the prophethood of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this action that he goes and brings the book of the Yahud to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and starts reciting it in his presence, of course. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gets agitated. Of course, it's an offense to the respect of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's an act of disrespect, and it's an act of sacrilege to our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's very obvious. So by itself, it's also kufr. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam calls him stupid. It would be appropriate at this time that if I'm challenged, perhaps some people would say that I'm mistranslating. Al-mutawahhik does not mean stupid. Look, this is Kitab al-Ain, the foremost classic Arabic dictionary. A book of lexicon that predates any other lexicon in Arabic language. Kitab al-Ain. Al-Juz' al-Rabi, written by Khalil ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi, and this person died in year 175. One of the oldest books amongst Muslims. Hawk, هوك الحمق. الهواك الحمق. ورجل متوهك. الهوك is الحمق, stupidity. رجل متوهك. رجل المتوهك is a person who is afflicted with hawak, afflicted with stupidity. يقع في الأشياء بحمق. A stupid person, متوهك, is a person that he makes error and he befalls into traps because of stupidity. So, who is Faruq? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Who gave Omar the title Al-Faruq? The Jews, right? And what is the title the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave to Omar? The stupid. Al-Mutawahhik, the stupid person. That's the title that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave to Omar.